So welcome to the Pew's shop. This is my little shop in my basement, and I use it for woodworking and for repairing bikes and doing bike restorations. And I asked you guys if you were interested in seeing a little shop tour, so I'm going to try to do that today. I'm not really great at talking to the camera. It's kind of weird, but anyways, we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. So let's get to the tour. All right, so first, the most important thing is how big is this shop? So it's about the size of a one-car garage. It's 18 feet long. I'll put the metric dimensions on the screen so you guys overseas who use the proper measuring system can understand. And it's 11 feet wide. I've got a nook back by the bicycle area that is 4 foot by 4 foot. And then I've got a nook over here that is 2 feet deep by 7 feet, which is kind of just a workbench area. So anyways, small. Everything's crammed in here. I usually end up running into myself, but I get stuff done. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. When you walk in the door on the right, I've got a pretty useful bench that I use, and I'll show you kind of how I interact with the bike when I do the bikes. But this has a T-track in it for many different things, but I've got a French cleat system on the walls. Up here it holds my laser engraver, some rotary tool accessories, a little benchtop vise, and then I've got a Craig jig for some of the woodworking stuff. I've got to add more stuff, and I've got the ability to add whatever kind of holders I want on this French cleat system that I have. So, and then below, I've got storage, and I'll show you that. All right, so what I did is I took these guys. These are just regular old kitchen cabinets that came unpainted, and I ended up painting them up. Put some nice pulls on them. They actually sit out away from the wall, so they don't. The depth of this cabinet is deeper than like a kitchen would be. But generally, I've got like electrical, my computer stuff, miscellaneous stuff, painting, general storage for all of my crap in the shop. I've got sanding stuff, painting stuff. So that's this bank of storage for here. Okay, moving down, further down from the workbench, I've got my chop saw station here, which I've built an integral dust collection system, which I'll probably go into detail in a different video on how this miter saw station works. But all my storage for just about everything is right here for, bicycle fasteners, for example. I just pull them out, slide them back in, take them down on the bench. So what else? I've got to have a beer can opener or a beer bottle opener. I've got a remote control for my heater, which I'll show you in a minute. And like I said, I'll go into detail about this thing in a different video because it's kind of unique. But and then part of the dust collection here, which is also my main vacuum for cleaning everything up in the shop. So let's keep moving. Okay, so further down the line is identical bench to what's on the right side of the miter saw, but just a lot shorter. Also got a T-track in it for holding whatever I need. This is my sonic parts washer. Use that for cleaning bike parts. Then, of course, more storage for miscellaneous this and that's on the French cleat area here. And then now we'll look down here. Below here is more storage, measuring stuff, cutting stuff, gluing stuff, safety stuff, chiseling stuff. More sanding stuff, taping stuff, miscellaneous stuff. So that's all there. I should probably label them because half the time I end up opening the wrong drawer looking for what I need. If I need tape, I'll open this. Oh, no, I'll open this and I'll be like, oh, those are those are whatever. So anyways, but I like the clean look. of that. So anyways, there's storage. Okay, moving further down towards the left, here's the nook I talked about, 2 feet by 7 feet. It's another handy workbench. Ends up usually collecting a bunch of crap, though. It's usually piled full of crap. This is probably about the cleanest you'll ever see this shop. Got storage above for this is and that. I've got a little, it's called Fosse Audio amplifier here. And this thing is a Bluetooth amplifier. I highly recommend it. I'll put a link to it in the video description. It turns and it drives these Yamaha speakers, which makes it sound great. It's a great alternative to having a big system in your shop for music. Although when I'm recording videos for YouTube, I can't play music, I think for copyright reasons. But anyways, so normal pegboard, lots of junk. It's not very organized, but I know where everything is. And then I'll show you down here. All right, down here is more, I got some chemicals. I got all my electrical storage stuff here. I've got, some bike parts stored in here. And it's just a mess. But one of the interesting things is on my chop saw, if I've got unsupported wood that comes out here, this guy comes up and it's just enough to hold something that's coming off the chop saw, and so it's supported, so it's not hanging out here. So that's just kind of a handy little thing. So let's keep moving on to the left. Okay, over here, more extension. This is an old bathroom cabinet that I reused, built a new top for it. Just so you know, most of the tops that I've built here are melamine. They're like a plastic printed with a real heavy wood. They're super solid. They're super easy to clean. I recommend them if you're going to be using any kind of greasy stuff because they just clean up really well. But just got more general storage here. This is my solvent tank cleaner. So you guys have seen, I've got another video on that in this. If you search for it in all my videos, you'll be able to see the details on this thing. And of course, I've got all my drilling stuff here and the battery charging areas for these drills. So, and then just general workbench area. Okay, moving on further from this area here. This is my main workbench, and I really need to put a new top on it. It's got some awesome workbench patina, but it's not the flattest thing because it's made of particle board, and so it's swelled and things over time, so it's not dead flat. So I really need to pull this off and put probably what I did over here with the melamine. But generally speaking, I've got my air line that runs down here, which I'll show you where the air compressor is, to fill bike tires or to blow off wood or whatever. Up here, this is my heater. It's done by that remote control that's over here. I'm in a basement, so in the winter in Michigan, it gets cold. So it's kind of invaluable to be able to like put a little heat in here, at least take the chill out. So that thing's been really handy. I can probably put a link to that one too in the description. So let's move on to the drilling and sanding station. Okay, so over here is my drill press. I've got this spider web of dust collection behind it. It's really purpose built for another thing that I do a lot of, which is just up here. This is some of the wood for another little thing I got going on, which I sell stuff online that is wood. Anyway, so I can modify this whole setup here to move it, but it sucks the chips away from when I'm drilling holes. And then this is an old just a Harbor Freight belt sander, which I've modified to with this box and dust collection, so it sucks all the dust away. Before I had that, this thing generated like piles of sawdust, and it just made it everywhere. So this is kind of a little purpose, like I said, area for drilling and sanding. In here are all the things that I need for drilling and sanding, as well as down here, more drilling, sanding stuff. So, and then of course wood storage up here and up top. And we'll move on this way. Okay, at the heart of the shop is a Delta contractor saw. Um, it's the 1.5 horsepower. I've upgraded with a this Delta fence. Oops, the Delta fence on here, and I gotta do some tuning to this thing to get the, like I said, I gotta get the blade straight because it's not quite right there. I need to do some better work on the body of this thing to do some dust collection. So I plan on making a video on that later on for the dust collection. But basically it runs off this outfeed extension to my router table, which this thing over here is my router fence that I can lay on there. I don't really use the router a lot, but and then underneath, what's sitting under here is a joiner, which I don't really use a joiner a ton for what I do, but it is there. So let's keep moving on to dust collector. But before we go to the dust collector, I want to show one out. Got this Delta Shopmaster air filter, which is very handy to have when things get really crazy in this really small space. It's nice to just finish sanding, turn the sucker on, and walk out for 5-10 minutes and come back and the air is completely clean. So it's nice to have. I've got my hearing protection for that sits right above the table saw, so I can have safety, keep my hearing for forever and ever. All right, moving on down the line is the dust collector. So this was the body of a Shop Fox dust collector, which is very similar to like a Harbor Freight dust collector. And I threw away the bags and all the other stuff, and I just used the motor and the impeller and this exhaust here to create the dust collection system, which has this cyclone collector. Goes down, the big stuff goes down there. The little stuff comes down here and goes through this filter. So generally speaking, this thing services the whole shop and gets all the dust out that I do for any of the woodworking stuff. And I will go into more detail on this in another video, which I'll show you how it all goes out towards the other side and across the shop to the miter saw. Okay, so this is the bike working on. This is my small space I have just to work on bikes, which is literally just this space. But what makes it work is I can get a full bike in here, and if I'm working on the front of the bike here, I can set stuff here. I can also take stuff off here and work on it here. And then I'm working on the back of the bike, derailleur, whatever, I can put them on here, as well as access all my tools for the bike. Of course, if you really watched a lot of my videos, you would notice that most of the tools aren't on here while I'm working on them. So they're all over the place, and half the time I'm looking between here, there, and there. But it is kind of like a triangle, like a work triangle, like a kitchen. So at least I do have kind of that space. And then like all my extra bike parts are up here. I'll kind of show you that here in a second. But one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to give myself a little bit more space. This router table is kind of my problem at the moment. Even though it's handy to put stuff on, I need to make it smaller. And let me explain what I'm thinking. Okay, like I said, I don't usually use the router table a lot anyways in my woodworking, just not what I'm typically working on. But this thing is kind of simple. It's just it's just a big piece of wood sitting on an old cabinet, and it's too deep. Along with this thing here is, it adds up and it takes up my space that I need over for my bike working area. So what I'm planning to do, let me move this. Back here on the table saw, I've kind of got some open space here where I'm going to build a router extension in this area. And I can run the router through just like things through the router table like I do the table saw. So once I build that, then I can come back and reimagine what's going on here. And my thought is I'm going to take this down to about here for an outfeed table for the table saw. And if I need to, I can flip something up for the long stuff to support it. But generally speaking, this is too much space that's taking up for the bike area. So if I can gain another 6 or 8 inches, that would change my world as far as fixing bikes. Okay, I moved the bike stand out of the way just to kind of show you what's going on here. Obviously, this is my air compressor. Got an airline here for whatever I need here, and the other one runs across the shop to my main bench. Obviously, I've got all my main, bicycle specific tools up here, screwdrivers. I always kind of keep some of my lubes and cleaners here. General tools down here for, headset presses and things like that. The round long things fit into these PVC pipes that I had mounted to the bottom. So, like shock pump, etc., etc. All my pliers and my array of Allen wrenches and Torx wrenches and things like that. So more miscellaneous storage underneath there, which I don't want to show you. What you've probably seen is my pile of bike wheels, which I need to do something about. Okay, and now moving on further into the nook. I said it's 4 feet by 4 feet deep. Got everything labeled in here in boxes. Front derailleurs, for example. Shifters, rear derailleurs, bottom brackets, brake calipers, headset skewers, brake levers. So everything is in there. Helps keep my sanity when looking for parts. I've done so many bikes that I've got lots of extra parts. So down here, round things like seat posts, pedals, quill stems, and regular stems. But down below is just junk. That's just needs to be organized. I don't know what to do with that. So let's look over here. Okay, so further over, my pile of seats, which is probably not the best way to store them, but that's where they are, along with wrenches that I need. These are very valuable. And when I'm standing at a bike, they're right here for me to grab. So lots of the specific bike tool pieces up here. All my lubes are up here. But yeah, just a little handy little nook for grabbing wrenches for wrenching on the bikes. So. All right, so there you have it, Depu's shop. This is where I hang out, where I get everything done, from woodworking to house projects to bicycle restoration for you guys. For me too. I really enjoy doing this stuff for you guys. If you have any more questions, if you have any questions about what you've seen today, leave them in the comments. If you've got any ideas on how I could improve things, obviously, leave them in the comments as well. Make sure you like and subscribe, and share with your friends. And we will see you on the next video. I got to get busy grabbing the next bike. I've got a lot to work on. So see you next time. Thanks.